Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Happy Monday. You already know, we're just in time for another Monday Motivation. And today the scenery is a bit different. We're at the crib right now, so I'm just hanging back, just relaxing this Monday. But I was in the shower, and I was thinking to myself, um, one of the thoughts that I had was, what is my reputation like? Because oftentimes we spend a lot of times, doing things around other people, right? I mean, naturally, that's how life goes, right? Like we spend our time working with people, collaborating with people on different activities or whatever the case may be. And because of that, over time, how you act towards other people or, how you move, how you do things becomes your reputation. And I was just thinking about how that translates into the digital age. And granted, we spend a lot more times alone rather than with people, especially with the elimination of third spaces. So I was thinking, I was like, with the digital age and reputation, regardless, your word is still bond, right? So today I thought about why not just make that a topic, so that's why we're here, right? So y'all already know the rules for this. The 3 rules are: I don't edit anything, right? If you've got any grievances, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And the last one is, these topics come straight off the dome typically. Today I actually got some notes. I got some notes because I thought it was important to talk about. But aside from those 3 rules, the 2 other rules are still in effect, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get it started. And if you're new here, this is how I do my Monday motivations. I talk about motivation like once a week, and then everything else is usually like dating or just pop culture related. So if that's something you're inclined, you like that, then feel free to subscribe or don't. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's up to you. No pressure, right? But anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one is, you don't define your reputation, your actions do, right? And people piece together who you are based on what they consistently see you do. And I think that's something that is one of the things that is never taken into consideration whenever we talk about reputation or how that precedes you, right? Because at the end of the day, you could think of yourself in one particular way, but how you do things ultimately is the thing that defines your character, right? And some clear-cut examples we could see of that is very simple things like fitness, for example, right? Fitness is one of those things where you can clearly see that someone is dedicated and consistent, and they're the type of person who's going to be continuous with the things that they're trying to achieve, right? And that goes across the board with like whatever goal it is. So how you do things and the consistency at which you do things ultimately becomes your reputation. How you treat people is definitely a part of that equation too, but I think first and foremost, how you do things is going to be the #1 marker of your reputation. The next one is, your word is your bond. And honestly, in a world full of empty promises, the fastest way to build or ruin your reputation is how well you keep your word. And that's also, I think, one of the second most important things. You're going to have your actions, and then of course you're going to have your words. Those things work, in lockstep with one another. But I think one thing that we also forget, especially in the digital age, is that your words play a big role in that too. And not just for like the things that you say you're going to do, but also the things that you just say in general. Like we live in a digital age now where it's very easy for words to get misconstrued, things to be taken out of context, and ultimately you end up being painted as a nefarious character, even though that's not you or that was never your intentions to begin with. That is just the reality of how things work in the digital age, because we don't have that face-to-face context, right? We don't have the in-person context that could further determine someone's character, or further determine who they are. Like, for example, I'm talking to you via a screen right now. You know what I mean? I have no idea who you are. And even though you're watching me, you don't have an idea of who I am. But based off of the videos that I've made, you would then come to a conclusion as to who I am. Thus, reputation. You see how these things work? All right, moving on. So the third one is, reputation precedes presence. And before you walk into a room, people already have impressions of you that could either work for you or work against you. And that's one thing. I know I've been saying this a lot, and the reality is a lot of people just don't keep these things in mind. Like, we live very reactive lifestyles, especially in today's day and age, because of how fast things go, right? Like, it's very easy for us to lose thought of something or lose the thing that we're keeping in focus in sight, and then because of that react a certain way. And how many times have we seen that in social media where some have, like, for example, like a stupid example would be like reality TV, right? So in reality TV, you'll see people react to things in a very quick, flippant manner, right? With no foresight or no thought whatsoever. And that's because nowadays we don't think, and we especially don't pay attention to the ideas that not only the reputation that we have will end up preceding us, but it's already going to speak for us, right? And when you consider the things that you say, like let's say you're a content creator and you say something that's a little vulgar and you go viral for it, you're now known for that one piece. Like that's the first impression a viewer is going to have of you. So it's important to remember that your words and your actions coincide with one another when it comes to building your reputation. But also through those actions and through the things that you say, your reputation is going to be built in your absence as well as in your presence. Therefore, before you go into any event, if those people already know or have heard of you, they're already going to have an idea as to who you are, which could be good or bad. Not saying you have to live a life of self-editing and personal surveillance, but you gotta pick and choose your battles is what I would say. Like there are tons of topics I can cover that would go stupid viral, right? And I could always make the content in said perspective of someone who is either for or against said topic, or I could just go with the mainstream. But if I do that, I then know that that piece of content is going to eventually become something that most people who've never seen me will know me for, and I don't want that. To be quite honest with you, zero intentions of people have like this false fake persona. Granted, people are going to think about it anyway, but if I can control as much as I can control, I think being choosy about what I talk about and how I go about talking about those topics definitely matters in regards to my own reputation building. But let's move on. Consistency builds legend. Now, obviously your legacy is simply your daily actions multiplied by time. A solid reputation is built one choice at a time. And I think that ties in perfectly to what I was just saying. Like the actions, oh shit, I almost knocked over my coffee cup. Like the actions and the things that you do eventually become the things that create your reputation. Don't need to spend a lot of time talking about this one. Very simple, straight to the point. Number 5, now shape the story being told. This is the things that we can do, right? Because at the end of the day, there is a level of control that we have when it comes to our reputation. Granted, we can't control everything about our reputation, but to an extent, we can control some things. The things we say, the things we do, our consistency, and how we apply not only our emotions, but our logic, and how we speak to other people as well. And when you do all of those things, you end up shaping that story. And much like I said earlier, now when people know you, depending on the things that you've done, it's very easy for them to come up with an idea or a kind of thought as to who you are as an individual. Yo, these mosquitoes are fucking my legs up right now. I got the long sleeves on, but I got shorts on. So these mosquitoes are chopping me up right now. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much time. I don't want to talk your heads off. Case in point, all I'm trying to say is I think, as we see the rise in debate culture and as we see the rise in, just rage content that makes people angry or content that makes people feel some type of way, whether that be positive or negative. I think what a lot of creators don't keep in mind is that, that is their reputation. Every video you make, every time you say something and post it on the interwebs, not only will it never be deleted, like you might think it's deleted because it's off your computer or whatever, but so long as it's posted on a platform or just on your computer in general, there are ways to get that shit back. So nothing is ever truthfully or truly deleted in this sense, right? And because of that, I think it's even more important to be cognizant about the things that you put out there. And for consumers, for people who don't make content, you still live a IRL presence, right? So yes, it's important to take care of your digital footprint, but as far as being in person and how you talk to people, that shit matters too. So I don't know, I think all these things, just make for not only for better conversation just for conversation's sake, but for those who adhere to this idea, this thought process, and they apply it, I think you'd see a lot more benefits in your life if you were more conscious about how that reputation is built and perceived by other people, as opposed to then, just flying out the mouth and just saying whatever. Not to say that that is you, like I can't judge you. I have no idea who you are. And I also wouldn't judge you because I'm human, right? I think we're all pieces of shit. But we can be better pieces of shit if we're more thoughtful and more pragmatic with how we approach things. I don't know, just my 2 cents. Anyway, like I said, don't want to talk your head off. This coffee's getting cold. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We got more videos coming out this week. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.